welcome to our Limestone AMA session. And today I have with us three gentlemen, and we have Eddie, who is our co-founder and managing director of Limestone Network. We have Nai Yen, a director and co-founder at Create Architecture, and we have Malcolm, who is the director of global business development at PundiX. So before we go to the questions, I'm sure our audience is very interested to find out more about the three of you. Maybe let's start off with Eddie. Tell us more about yourself and maybe how did you get into Limestone Network?
Okay, I started my entrepreneur journey when I was 18 years old. So I started from home, and then I started off from my living room. So we are quite different from the US and all. We don't have a garage. So it's really out of the living room itself. We were doing web designing, and then so when I was trying to start my work and all, my mom always asked me, why don't you go out and work? Yeah, so I always tell her that Mom, I'm actually working. Yeah, so with the years and all, we grew into 18-man team, and then we sold the company off in 2014. And then this is when we go, or rather I went and joined a peer-to-peer lending platform where we co-founded it together. It was also in 2014. After which I exited the business in 2019, and this is where we started a Limestone Network. As of how I get into Limestone Network, it was because my partner was already a developer in Cambodia. So he already built the first was the hotels, followed by the service apartments, and then after which he also started industrial parks. All of this is being developed in Cambodia itself. And then afterwards, he actually came to me and said, how can I, okay, look at it, this new plan now that we have is more towards a city. So how do we make this city a little bit more techy? Yeah, so I said, have you considered a blockchain? And then he was asking, what's that? Yeah, and then I was trying to explain to him, and then with more conversation, and then we started Limestone Network, where I will be doing more towards the software, and then he builds all the hardware. And we came together, it became Limestone Network.
Okay, so what is maybe the role or one goal of Limestone that you want to achieve?
I think it's going to be a little bit more trying to use technology to improve the people's lives, making it a little bit more efficient, a little bit more convenient within the city when they spend most of the time working there. So I think efficiency is definitely one key areas that we hope to improve for the residents there.
Okay, we'll move on maybe to Nai Yen. So maybe you want to introduce yourself and maybe what you do?
Okay, I'm Nai Yen from Create Architecture. So I myself, we co-founded Create Architecture a couple of years back. So myself and my partners being registered architects under the board of Architects Singapore, and also we are a registered architectural firm locally. So what we do at Create Architecture, we conceptualize designs both from a master planning level down to the building itself and down to the interior designs. So it's a whole holistic kind of a design approach where we think of the big picture down to the nitty-gritty details. And this is what drives us, which is our passion in designing good buildings and good cities. So over at Create Architecture, we are a small team of around 10. So we are a young and energetic team, like as close as knit as a family. So we brainstorm designs, have design critique sessions, and hoping to build things of our dreams and to build better cities for tomorrow.
So maybe you can share with us, what are some of your proudest projects so far?
Oh yes, our proudest projects I can say have took place and it's taking place at the moment in Cambodia together with our partners. The first would be the Global Tech Exchange in Phnom Penh, which is built within the new CBD called Phnom Penh City Center, PPCC. So that project is pretty interesting in terms of its conceptualization, both in terms of its master planning level, it being the gateway to the new city center, and downwards to how we effectively plan all these buildings to be a green, sustainable project of the future, while at the same time taking advantage and tapping onto the potentials of it being a significant component of a smart city, being the PPCC itself. Yeah, so that we are quite proud of that, and it's still a project in the making. Yes, pretty exciting.
So we look forward to see it to completion then. And Malcolm, yourself, maybe share with us, where are you from?
I think similar to Eddie's, I came from an entrepreneurial background. I'm originally from San Francisco Bay Area in California, Silicon Valley. And I've been living in Europe for the last 20 years, 18 years in France and 2 years in the UK before I landed here in Singapore. Out of the 20 years in Europe, 15 of those years I was an entrepreneur working in the gaming industry, specifically sports betting and casino. So I was building highly transactional platforms, B2B, servicing bookmakers and casinos for payment systems as well as sportsbook applications. So I've been working in e-commerce for more than 20 years. So during this time, it's been interesting for me because it's kind of like a cyclic experience now because I've been working from home more than 25 years. And it's just today, that, it's this big thing and rush because of, the circumstances today that we're seeing this push for people to work from home, work more digitally. I think with the pandemic, in terms of what I'm doing today with PundiX and working in blockchain payments, we're seeing more cashless initiatives, digital transformation, and folks going cashless. We know that working with these smart cities, such as Eddie and yourself are building, there's 100% synergy for us to get engaged in these because what we'll be doing is plugging in an infrastructure for payments. And for me, I think it really depends on what an operator or a builder really requires from the residents and how they want to interact with these kind of technologies. You can look at China, for instance. They've been cashless for a long time, right? So we're just really catching up. And with the smart cities, that kind of a project for us, being able to help adoption in terms of digital payments and digital currencies, this is what PundiX is all about. I mean, we've been first to market, go to market product in the blockchain space for digital payments for the last 2 years.
So maybe what are some highlights of PundiX so far?
Yeah, I think to keep it simple, we have emulated transactions over the counter with a POS terminal, a hardware device based on Android, that really just emulates a normal credit card POS device. What we've done is really say, look, we can have other types of currencies, digital currencies that you can transact, between merchants and consumers very easily without even thinking about it. So that's one way you could present it. The other side is if I get technical and start scaring people, that we have a blockchain-based platform. Most people and merchants don't need to know that, right? And I think that's one of the first things. We actually have an innovative, disruptive solution for the financial services industry that we've came out with, built here in Singapore and China. I think the next thing would be knowing that our device is not EMV certified. What that means, it's not able to accept credit cards, MasterCard, Visa. We've been able to port our technology to 4 of the top 4 hardware manufacturers in the world. Ingenico for one, Verifone, Pax, and Sumni. So that's probably 90% of the world's POS devices that you see on countertops in restaurants, cafes, coffee shops. And so we've been able to take our software, port it on those devices, which is a huge accomplishment for us going forward, because that means we don't have to always sell our device. They are in-house built. We can actually plug in our software into existing merchant networks just with software. So that's a pretty huge thing for us that we hope we can scale our business with.
Sounds exciting. You must be really proud of it. So now that we have gotten to know more about our panelists today, maybe let's move on to the questions. Shall we start? So maybe Eddie, we know that Limestone is about incorporating blockchain technology into smart cities, right? So why did you choose blockchain?
I think one of the special feature about blockchain, of course, besides the immutability, immunity, invincible. Sorry. Besides the immunity, one part of it was the privacy, as well as we look at the aspects of the ability to empower back the user who has been having all of this information, and then they could share it with the respective vendors, banks, or any other agencies, such that they could, get their own rewards back from them. So this is where only when I give the consent for you to look at my past historical spending, then you have ability to extract. Yeah, so I think this is one part where most of the centralized players are dominating, and these are your information which they have collected, and then they have resell it for a huge profit. Yeah, so how do we give this power back to the user, who are living day to day on the city themselves? Yeah, so I thought this is one big aspect that we could do this to return back the power back to the users using blockchain.
So what is LimeX token and how does it work?
Okay, a little bit more geeky here. So LimeX token is built on the ERC20 protocol. Actually, it is just a utility token. So we also had a legal opinion that it is just like a point system. So I think just to move away from all the big jargon, crypto and all, it is just a point system. It's like a voucher that you buy in advance and then you just spend it within the city. You can use it to exchange for products and services.
Yep.
You can use, and basically you could just spend it. Yeah, you could pay for your utility bill, you can pay for your season parking, everything that you can imagine yourself spending in the city can be, it could be one of the alternative mode of transaction medium.
Okay, so how can I get my hands on this token then?
Yeah, so I think right now we are listed on one of the exchanges called bitrue.com. You could go there and buy it off the exchange, or you can also purchase it through the PundiX system, which is available in the city. So they could ask to top up their wallet, they could top up their physical card itself to then spend within the city. Yeah.
So I understand that also the first use case of Limestone will be the upcoming Phnom Penh City Center mentioned by Nayen. And maybe you as the architect of this project, could you share more about what is PPCC and what can residents there expect in this smart city?
Okay, I think PPCC, the unique thing about Phnom Penh City Center is it will become the new CBD of Phnom Penh itself, and it is conceptualized from the beginning as a smart city of the future and the new central business district of Phnom Penh. So how it differs from other CBDs is perhaps, let's say, in other developed countries where it's just, I think, an enhancement of its services, of its infrastructure to catch up to the smart city kind of standards. But right here at PPCC, we have the opportunity of creating this new smart city downtown from scratch. As such, we will be able to put in all the necessary infrastructure to cater for all the smart services, platforms that is required to make all this work. So I think that makes it very unique as compared to other CBDs in the city and in the world. And also, in terms of its master planning, we also want it to be a development of the future by adopting sustainable kind of planning parameters and strategies. As such, in PPCC, when you head over there in perhaps a year plus or 2 years time when it's completed, you'll be able to see that it's unlike typical malls and mixed-use developments where all the spaces are being air-conditioned. But in PPCC, you see a mix of communal spaces that are naturally ventilated, that are green, that are sustainable, and hence that makes it pretty different from what we have seen and experienced in our own city and in even other cities around the region.
So what is your inspiration behind the architecture of this project?
I think PPCC, the design of the project itself is very heavily inspired by, firstly, the synergy and the vibrancy of Cambodia as an emerging economy. And hence, we took a lot of references from technology itself being the metaphor and driving design factor. And so if you see on the overall architectural outlook and the visualizations of the project that we have developed so far, you see in terms of the use of modern materials, the design geometries, and down to the way the spaces are planned with good ventilation and flows cutting through all the public spaces. That was the main driver of the design.
And I know that this project is going to be completed in 2022, right? So how do you envision the city to be after completion?
We envision that this will start to drive in terms of activate the surrounding neighborhood and the plots beside it, because Global Tech Exchange will essentially house a lot of critical services and amenities. So it will become a place where people start to gather, be a place of meeting where people meet and things start to happen. So we believe that it will become a synergy and a driving point to activate the surrounding neighborhood and the whole entire CBD itself.
Wow, I want to be there in 2022 then. And Malcolm, what is PundiX role in Limestone project?
Yeah, as mentioned, we're going to be providing a payment infrastructure within the smart city. So essentially, any of the tenant merchants, restaurants, coffee shops, dry cleaners, whatnot, who are established themselves in the smart city, they'll be able to use our POS device circulate NFC smart cards, just like one of the MRT cards to top up Lime token. Essentially, they'll be onboarding with merchants, converting local fiat currencies, and getting into the Lime ecosystem to be able to transact between consumers and merchants. So with that as well, we'll be promoting a crypto wallet that's installed on iOS or Android smartphones. So consumers have a choice, if a little bit more tech savvy, they can download the app and just go ahead and use just like a Google Pay or an Apple Pay, and pair their physical card to the phone, so they can leave the card at home and use it as just like a souvenir, and just use their stored value from the phone to make transactions with the merchants, scan and pay. Alternatively, with our ecosystem, with the cards that Eddie mentioned, people can just tap and go. So it's really a pure cashless system at the end, and we think the future is going this direction. So we're just going with the times and modernizing and working with folks like this who are going through like this digital transformation.
And what attracted you to partner with Limestone for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us right now in our crypto or blockchain industry, the talk is all about adoption. And what for me, and I think PundiX, is the fact that we're building huge infrastructure with these kind of projects, right? And I think the basis and foundation is guided and based on a framework of digitalization, right? And so I think you just have to follow in and fill in the cracks in terms of what areas of expertise, what niche markets are required to build and support this kind of an ecosystem that they're building. And for us, we feel that payments is going to be fitting right in, right? Just as one of those vendors, one of the suppliers and partnerships that are strategic working with the Lime Network group, we feel that even if you're going to be building a transportation system with the ecosystem, we could use our platform even in the buses or any kind of transport that you build there. Yeah. So it doesn't have to just be a merchant. It's really a universal platform to promote digital currencies. I tend not to try to talk about crypto too much because it's terminology I think that the masses aren't ready for. And I think just like here in Singapore, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, when your parents were exposed to nets, they didn't know what happened to the cash anymore. They're starting to, so they had to get used to paying without touching physical cash. And today it's the same thing. It's nothing new. It's just a different medium of stored value at the end of the day. And in this case, it's Lime token. Yeah.
So how does a user get started on like the whole Limestone ecosystem and together with PundiX as well?
For them to get started, because for you to be onboarded in the city, you need to download the app for to be onboarded. We also would have imagined that nobody's going to voluntarily go down and just download the app. So we try to make the employers who are getting a space from us in the city to onboard their employees via the app. So when the employee comes and wants to work, he needs to fill in their particulars. So instead of the normal form, they just fill in the form that's on the app. Correct. But what happened after they submit the form is that we actually scan their information against the global databases just to make sure that they're not terrorists, no criminal records, and then we welcome you on board. So I think everybody would have the app on their phone when they start working within the city. Yeah. But after you do this onboarding, the other features of the app starts to unlock. Then you get to be able to spend, for example, or to top up your wallet is one of the features, as well as access to facilities. Having access to the gym, having access to the meeting room, boardroom, swimming pool, can all be accessed via the app. So I think the first onboarding is very important to make sure that everybody has this tool ready for them. Of course, then we will weave in all the gamifications. When you ask your friend to also hop on it, you get rewarded by XYZ. And then we have the referral thing going around. So then the more people start to come in. That's the easiest way for them to onboard, or in a way quite compulsory to be having it. Because if not, how do we get access to the common meeting room? So you can't do that.
So it becomes like all-in-one access, including all your payments and including all your access into the meeting rooms, into the buildings, and like payment systems as well.
Even the ordering of food within the vicinity, then you can get to pre-order, collect it later. All the things should be weaved into part of it. Yeah. Smarter living. Yeah.
So maybe Nayan, can you share with us, like, with your experience of building smart cities, right? And this is, I would think, is your first blockchain integrated smart city project. Like, what excites you about it?
I think it's the amount of new technology that has been imbued into this entire this new project that all of us are working on now. And I think one of the major advantages of using a Limestone token would be that I think it helps to build a kind of a digital credit persona kind of thing. So I think it brings quite a lot of advantages. I think it helps to build up a person's credibility, and it helps them with, I think, applying for loans in the future, which would not be that easy if he or she was not using the system. Yeah, so I think that's the exciting part and one of the main strengths that we are looking at.
Then, knowing that, like, this is probably a payment gateway for, like, me to purchase items within the city, right? So we will definitely be concerned about issues such as, like, security. So how does PundiX resolve such issues or such concerns?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Well, first of all, the NFC cards, the way I look at that is analogy, again, let's say the MRT cards here. You've got $50 Singapore dollars on there, and you happen to lose it or drop it. What happens? You lose your money, you lose your card. So with our NFC card for the tap and go transactions, it's the same thing. So what we do to promote security there is educate consumers or the users to go ahead and pair the card, because there is a 16-digit number on the card. You just pair it to your smartphone, download the application, go ahead and pair the card so you have a digital representation of the card on your phone, and then you leave the card at home. So, and then you can basically go ahead and just transact with the phone through barcode scanning, QR codes, like the SG QR code here in Singapore. So that is at our point, the level of security that we do have built into the system. So it's a bit of education, because not everybody's going to download the app, right, or even capable. But we're there to help them, and the merchants that we train in the smart city will be able to assist them with that.
Yeah, if I may just add on to Malcolm's answer, I think it would be like, if you lose the card, you can transfer value out of it into another card if you have the password that you have paired with it previously. Yeah. So even if you lose your card, it doesn't matter. Is that correct?
Well, maybe so basically you're almost right. I mean, what's happening there is if you paired the card to the phone and you lost the card or whatnot, or you can basically transfer store value from that digitized version of the card to a virtual card on your phone. Yeah, so when you download the application, you have a default virtual card on there that you can use. But once you start interacting and have the NFC card and you don't want to use it because you think you'll lose it, you could go ahead and pair it, and then you can transfer store value between the two. So if you lose it, then you save your card. So it's a security feature within the wallet, the crypto wallet. Yeah.
Great, thank you, panelists. And that's all for part 1 of our AMA session. Stay tuned for parts 2.